therefore, I think Muhammad Iqbal sahab, if you could just share FBR's perspective and what has been happening with DNFBPs.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be brief, considering the paucity of time. This DNFBPs regime is entirely a new regime, as we know. It was in September 2020 when the Anti-Money Laundering Act was amended, and certain provisions in relation to DNFBPs were incorporated. We knew since 2009 that this is a particular regime which is the target of the FATF, which is there in the FATF recommendations, which should be taken care of. But somehow or the other, we had not been doing it, and it happened in late 2020 when we incorporated Section 6A of the Anti-Money Laundering Act and certain other provisions also. And the DNFBP regime, which comprises, in our case, of the real estate agents, the dealers in precious metals and stones, the lawyers and the accountants, they were brought into fold. Now, this was again a challenging situation, because you all know that when the AML-CFT regime was put in place in the banking sector, it took quite significant time, considering notwithstanding the kind of resources that the banks are, that they are available with the banks. But in the case of DNFBPs, generally 88% of the businesses are sole proprietors, and most of them are hardly educated. So it was a big challenge for us, and there was initial resistance on the part of the real estate agents in particular, but we had to engage them and we have to bring them on board, and I'm grateful to the real estate associations that they understood the situation, the circumstances, and they were willing to register themselves and to make compliance. So what further we did is that we came up with the FBR regulations also, which is the AML-CFT regulations for the DNFBPs, and it is more or less the same regime as the banks are doing. Every DNFBP is required to conduct entity risk assessment, the customer's risk assessment, the TFS screening, the customer due diligence, the EDD, etc., etc. So all those functions, which as a matter of fact the banks are conducting, those functions are expected from the DNFBPs also. We came up with the sanctions rules also, the AML-CFT sanction rules, so that we can have a number of sanctions available to us to penalize the delinquent DNFBPs. So we have a non-monetary range of sanctions, which is warnings and censures and conditions, and we have monetary sanctions also, which ranges up to 100 million rupees for each particular contravention. In the past 2 years, I suppose that we have progressed very well, because the DNFBPs were brought into fold. They submitted their off-site monitoring questionnaires. They started the customer due diligence to whatever extent they could do. And they also started with the TFS screening of the UN designation list as well as the domestic lists. And more importantly, as Madam was saying, they also started generating these STRs. So now the DNFBPs are very much there generating the STRs, which the FMU is looking at and converting into financial intelligence. There's still a lot of area required in this particular domain. A lot of improvement has to be done, but I think we are progressing steadily, because we have come up with an IT solution also, a bespoke IT solution to this problem. We don't have any direct physical interaction with DNFBPs. Everything is online, starting from the registration to the inspection reports, to the follow-up reports, to the action plans, to the imposition of penalties, to the appeals. Everything is online, so we have come up with an indigenous IT solution for that. And we also come up with a very interesting thing, which is the DNFBP's mobile app, something you can use also, because in the DNFBP mobile app, the DNFBPs can conduct a number of functions like registration, like submission of off-site monitoring questionnaire, like TFS screening, as well as they can generate their STRs through the mobiles. The TFS screening, of course, is something which is on the main page, and I think that is available to everyone. So anyone who downloads the DNFBP's mobile app can use that. There are many things which have been done, but there's a paucity of time, so I should stop here.
No, thank you very much for sharing all the great work that FBR has been doing.